Welcome to a very special episode of Con Carne. This one is Con Carne Goes to Prison. Today, as I'm recording this, I am recording at the Old Joliet Prison Haunted House. Con Carne, sponsored by Sopal Solar. Now is the time to switch to solar before it starts snowing, before it becomes December and January and you're too late to get those panels on your roof. Switch to solar now. Get all the benefits of getting those panels on your roof. Cost certainty, knowing what your electric bill is going to be month after month. There's nothing out of pocket. I'm going to say that again. Nothing out of pocket to go solar. My friend Brent Sopel, he was on the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a former NHL great. He is going to help you. He's the guy who's going to do it. Go to Sopel, S-O-P-E-L, solar.com. Take advantage of the tax credits that exist this year in 2022. Get this done before wintertime. Get cost certainty, sopelsolar.com. Con Carne is also sponsored by 90 Days in the 90s, written by Andy Fry. It is a fiction book about the Chicago music scene in the 90s. If you didn't live it, this is your chance to travel back in time. 90 Days in the 90s, a rock and roll time travel story, the ultimate novel about the 90s Chicago music scene. Darby is the protagonist, and she goes back in time. She takes a trip back to Chicago in the 90s via the Gray Line and relives her carefree 20s. Wouldn't we all like that opportunity? Go back and maybe change some things second time around. 90 Days in the 90s. Order your book signed on the website, 90daysinthe90s.com, or order it on Amazon or wherever else you buy books. It looks like this. And it is a very special episode of Con Carne. Con Carne Goes to Prison. I'm James Van Osdol. Tonight, as we were recording this, we are at Chicago's only haunted house inside a real prison. It is Old Joliet Haunted Prison. I'm joined by James the Boneless. That right there, to my right, is James. He is boneless. We'll explain. But James the Boneless is the band. In the backseat, Patrick McDermott, the bass guitarist of James the Boneless. Gentlemen, we just walked through the Old Joliet Haunted Prison haunted house. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the band. I guess let's start with the haunted house.
All right.
We've never met before tonight.
No, we haven't.
I think the fastest way to make friends and become acquaintances is to do what we just did.
Go through a haunted house.
Go through a haunted house. Walk through, have the shit scared out of you as a team.
Yeah, be disoriented with lights and all kinds of props.
Now, I go to haunted houses a lot. I love this kind of stuff. I'm a 13-year-old boy at heart. I know it had been a while since both of you had been to a haunted house.
Oh, yeah. Since, I'd say my teenage years, when I used
Really?
to work at like a Halloween prop store, and I would be involved with all the Halloween makeup and costumes and everything, so we'd geek out, go into like Hades, what was that, the Odium,
Of course.
I think, yeah. So that brought me back. It was like a flashback to my childhood.
What do you think, Patrick?
It's been about 10 years for me, too. So it was an experience. Yeah, a lot of fun, though.
So what stood out? Because it's like three different haunts, three different attractions, actually, as you go through here. The first one is inside the actual prison.
Yeah.
And that is loaded with characters, and they're in the actual cells, which I find so freaky.
It is.
The actual old cells inside the prison. I mean, we could just walk through the prison and not have any characters there, and it would be scary and unnerving.
Oh, it would have been. Yeah.
It frightens the... Can I swear in this?
Yeah.
It frightens the shit out of me to be in a penitentiary. I mean, just the prospect of being locked up in a tiny cell, nothing to do. You're just laying on concrete or steel.
Uh-huh.
It's the worst. You don't know who you're with. You don't know who's going to open your door at midnight, you know?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
Spooky on its own.
perfect location for a haunted house.
Absolutely.
So this is going on, the Old Joliet Haunted Prison, going on select nights through November 5th. So the first attraction, like I said, is you're walking through the prison. Then they have, it's almost like a palate cleanser. They kind of break up the three attractions. The middle attraction is like laser tag, kind of. You shoot at zombies.
Yeah, brought me back to Photon back in the 1990s.
Basically, you walk in
with zombies.
You walk into the attraction, and the first thing they do is they hand you a gun and say, "Make sure you shoot him in the head."
Yeah.
Little conflicting there, but it was fun.
So we did that. We did some zombie shooting, and we walk out of that. And then the third attraction is an absolute mindfuck. It is disorienting. The second you walk in, it's like a padded cell, but it's all strobe light, and you can't see You can't see an inch in front of your
and
face.
The strobe makes the walls kind of contort
Really
and wiggle and move. I had to follow you. You're in black. Pat following me. I'm in mostly black.
Can't find the exits. Like, get me out of here. Yeah.
Well, and I just thought, okay, I was leading the three of us. I thought, I'm just going to walk straight. That's got to be the path.
Yeah, right.
And then I hit the wall. I'm like, nope, this isn't it.
Yeah.
And then James said, no, here it is. And
yeah. Or I didn't realize it was a maze until we were well into it already. They weren't really leading you in the right path.
Yeah, so we walk out of that strobe light room, the padded room, and the first character we encounter is this dude. It reminds me of Professor Pig from the Batman comics. He's got like a bull head, and he's got the chainsaw going on.
That reminded me of Time Bandits.
Okay, fair.
You know, where they had like the bull skull, but no chainsaw, obviously, because they were back in like Roman times. But
yeah, tons of like disorienting rooms. The strobe light comes back. It's a maze, and then they have that room that's completely disorienting. It's like on an angle, kind of, and you feel like you have no sense of gravity as you're walking through it.
Sure, yeah.
It's super fun, and for the first attraction as we went through, we were following a teenage couple, and it was adorable. They were there on a date, and the girl in the couple was super nervous waiting in line, and then we walked up behind her because we were going to be in her group, and she said, okay, I feel a little bit better now because you guys all look like a bunch of dads. I feel safer.
Never got that comment before in my life.
To be fair, I'm a dad, but it did kind of make me feel, oh, I'm the old guy at the haunted house.
Yeah,
and which was scarier than anything I saw here.
We're the old guys at the haunted house,
and perhaps a couple years older, and that was terrifying to me. That was more frightening than anything else we experienced. The simulated swamp,
the comment from the young lady.
Yeah, the comment from the young lady. It set the tone. Hey, we feel safe. You look like a bunch of dads. So it was super fun. Again, this haunted house, the Old Joliet Haunted Prison. I want to make sure I got the language correct. Old Joliet Haunted Prison. This goes through November 5th. We're here on Indigenous Peoples Day, and it makes sense. I'm like, oh, that's weird. They're open on a Monday and they're so crowded. Right. Schools were closed all day today.
Schools were closed all day. Parents need something to do at night.
Send the kids off to prison.
There you go. It's one way.
All right. So James the Boneless, before I got to know you or knew more about you, I thought, oh, interesting name. I wonder what that's all about. You're James the Boneless because you're James without bones in your arms.
I'm actually missing bones in both of my arms. Here, wait. I have a visual, just so you could, it's hard to explain without seeing inside of my arm, and obviously we're not going to do that. So that is my left arm, where about 2/3 of the radius is missing, and a little chunk of the ulna. So it's not actually connected, and the only way it's still rigid is with this brace.
Wow.
Yeah, and then even this one, the same.
Wow.
Missing 2/3 of the radius, but at least the ulna's still intact on this arm.
Well, I'm sorry. I realize my face must not look.
Oh, I get this every day, all day.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
No, I used to be uncomfortable. I used to not want to talk about it. Oh, you can keep that. We got a whole bunch.
Keepsake souvenir.
I got a whole bunch of treats in my treat bag for you.
Fantastic.
So I used to always hide my arms and sleeves. I would never talk about it. People would ask me, "Oh, because you can't hide this." You know? This one.
I've known you for like 15 years, and the first time I saw his arms was maybe a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah, he hit it well.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about. All I know is the top level information.
Yeah.
Your bones disintegrated because of chemical dependency.
IV drug use.
Drug use.
I was hooked on heroin for like 15 plus years.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. So, in trying to stay semi-hygienic and clean, I was only shooting in the tops of both of my arms. But that doesn't work for very long. Your veins disappear, your arteries even any like direct source of blood disappears. Wow. So when that happens, then addicts go to muscle.
Yeah.
And then the muscle, once you shoot it in a muscle, that deteriorates the muscle. And then it was just a big open wound. You can see that's all scar tissue. And that's where it was completely open. And
I got to say, James, you're kind of Halloween adjacent.
Right?
yeah, I am. I think this is a very appropriate setting to go over this.
Well, it is.
I used to look like a mummy every day.
Jeez.
Because while I was still using, you can't get health care while you're still using. That's just a fact in the American healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
Addicts going in for any kind of treatment, they're going to push you away. They don't want to deal with it. So I was just going in for the wound care aspect of it. And I was straight turned away at the door. I had a doctor look at me. This was a wound care specialist. And he said, "You're going to mess up anything I do for you, so we don't want you here." So, out the door there.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you stopped using?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you good? Do you think about it?
Not at all.
Okay.
Done. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I knew I was done. It was actually pretty harrowing story of like the day I stopped. I was about to shoot up. My arms, like I said, I looked like a mummy. I had gauze wrapped around both of them because it was covering wounds. And I was keeping them sterile. I didn't have like infections and sepsis and everything. I was covering them in antibiotic ointment and silver solution and stuff. Anything, just stave off any infection that I knew would happen. So I had gauze wrapped around both. As I'm unwrapping it to use, something must have caught on a vein or artery. And all of a sudden I'm getting like a spigot opened up.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like right in my face. It's shooting all over the ceiling. It's shooting all over the room. I thought I was going to die. I got to my phone, luckily, called 911, and I must have been unconscious for a little bit, but then I heard them knocking, and I was able to make it out. And at that point, my arms were so bad, I could hardly, hold the paraphernalia to use.
Lord.
I was holding a spoon in my mouth to anything to keep using. And it's basically to stave off the sick of it.
Right.
At that point, it's not fun. It's not to get high. It's just to stay normal. So I probably lost half my blood. And
this is terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It looked like a murder scene.
Well, not just the incidents you're describing. Just your addiction was so severe. That's where you ended up.
Sure. But, at the same time, I was a functioning addict. I always had a job. I always had a full-time job. And, I almost think I overworked in order to support the habit.
Right.
But that's all I could do. I couldn't do the band thing. Tried a little bit. I still had that in me to make music, and I had played guitar since I'd been 12 or 13. We tried starting a band before I had stopped. Pat was unaware of it.
We played before your arm. We played when you could play underhand.
Yeah, I used to play normal.
Were you aware of what James was going through? Were you aware he was that deeply in heroin?
I knew he had issues, and back when we first started our old band 15 years ago or whatever, I always had a feeling he was doing something, but he showed up. When he showed up to practice, he seemed coherent. It's he hit it well. He hit his use well. So there was always that feeling okay, he's up to something. But he always showed up. We always practiced. We played, and that was really all we did back then to hang out. And that's a little stronger relationship now, obviously, but
being able to practice, I didn't have either the time or the want to
make
shows,
make something more,
to do more what we're doing now. It's a full-time job going to get the drugs.
Yeah.
Using the drugs. You have about a 4 or 5 hour limit where you could do something for about that time, and then you start to either anticipate the sick or you start to feel sick. So I could go to concerts. I'd still be going to concerts through all those years, but I didn't socialize with anyone. I wasn't meeting any people. I was just going, see the bands I like, still experience music, but I had to get home. I just had to, after every show.
You're lucky to be alive.
I am.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely. Lucky to have arms still.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to focus. I don't want to turn this into an interview.
It's in the name.
It is in the name, and
Yeah.
it's hard. I mean, my curiosity is exploding. I do want to talk about the band too, but
Yeah.
I guess you're a local
we'll
guy,
satiate
James.
your curiosity. Go
You're a
for
local
it.
guy.
Yeah.
I've never seen heroin in my life.
Okay.
I've never been in a room with someone who's done heroin. I've been in a room with people who've done drugs, but not heroin.
Yeah.
How did you get involved?
I had a friend back, let's see, when I was still in college. I was going to UW-Madison, and then I was getting kind of tired of doing just liberal arts, social sciences, and I wanted to do art. So I came down to go to Columbia for like a semester, and I lived with a friend who was currently using. So got into it through that, and I was attracted to it. I had dabbled a little bit, just attracted to it through my musical heroes that had also, Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Perry Farrell, even Kurt Cobain,
I mean,
Lane
Lou Reed,
Staley.
Susie Sue.
Right. Lou Reed,
The
of
list goes
course,
on.
everybody, and that kind of piques your curiosity. Like, how did they create such beautiful art? What did this substance do to them that then resulted in just magnificent albums, songs? But then you realize, you can't maintain a happy, healthy life.
Did you
while
have
doing
that kind of arrogance? Like, well, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to.
Right. Everyone does. Everyone says, "Oh no, not. I can just use it and put it down the next day." But then you realize you feel awful. You feel like you have every kind of illness simultaneously. Everything hurts. You're hot. You're cold. You can't stand up. You can't sit down. So the only thing that will end all that is using a little bit more. And when you finally have that click in your brain, then you're hooked. Like at first when a friend would just have it, I tried a little bit. I kind of thought the horrible feeling the next day was almost like a hangover, like a very severe hangover. But when kind of, I did the math in my head where my friend was like, "Hey, if you just do a little bit more, you'll be fine." That's when it got me. Yeah. And Chicago is one of the easier places to
See,
get
this
it.
is stuff I've heard. I've never encountered it. And this whole
open air drug markets in certain parts of the city where you just pull up like a drive-through.
This whole episode's like a cautionary tale. We're outside a prison. You destroyed your arms with heroin abuse. I've got
so is life, right?
I've got some bad news for you.
I feel like a twisted version of the Pied Piper.
Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Have you come to give me back my bones?
Boneless?
I am boneless. I'm the boneless.
Some people prefer that.
Easier to eat.
Yes.
Crunchy.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you all.
Scariest one of them all.
How are you? We're having a serious conversation about heroin addiction, and then this happens.
Oh, hey!
Amazing. I wish we had more room to let them in, but sadly we don't. She has a clipboard. Why do you have a clipboard?
She's about to treat James.
Oh, yeah. Right. Put my bones back. I think I saw some of the characters with my bones in there.
Keep track of how many customers are just like noped out of the place.
Oh my gosh.
I see you in the back.
Okay. Well, thanks for visiting, everybody. Are we going to be able to drive away? Are they? I see a tire.
Right.
We're
One of
trying
them's coming with.
I see a tire iron there.
I took your wheels off.
My car's going to be on blocks. We're going to have to. We live here now. This is our new home. Thanks, everybody.
They got plenty of rooms.
Yeah, that's how they get employees.
Every fight is a food fight when you're a cannibal.
Cannibal jokes. I love them.
So back to heroin addiction.
Yeah. Windows go up.
Whoa, good segue.
Well, that was fun. Again, the Old Joliet Haunted Prison, Chicago's only haunted house inside a real prison, except sometimes they just come to you.
There you go. Curbside
I don't even know what we were talking about. You were a heroin addict. You lost your bones. Did
We're
we
talking
cover
about
it?
the availability of heroin.
Yeah,
in
okay,
the city
which
of
I find
Chicago.
so
Yeah.
I guess disappointing, and it just I guess I'm not surprised, but
Right. It's super easy. I know I would. You just drive down. The neighborhood I went to was off the Eisenhower, the west side of Chicago. I mean, this is known.
They call it Heroin Highway.
Yeah. And it's not even policed really. It's just out in the open.
did they just give up?
I think they just gave up because if they eliminate one, another one pops up, and endless supply of people willing to do that business, and then endless supply of people driving through.
How important is it, having lived through what you lived through and having what is now a lifelong issue with your arms?
Yeah.
How important is it for you to tell this story, to tell people?
Oh, I never used to at all. I never wanted to talk about this
Because it was too you're too self-conscious, too
self-conscious about it because it's completely stigmatized.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I quit, I had a chance encounter with Tony and Kat Baker from the Broken Robots. Old childhood friend Lonnie is the bass player of that band.
Okay.
So I was going out to see Lonnie's band, and he said, "Hey, you should talk to my guitarist and Kat, because they went through the exact same issues that you did. I mean, they were straight on the street right there."
Oh, I mean, they told me stories of basically like panhandling off the Eisenhower.
Yeah, I might have given them change many a day for all I know. But when I saw them play, they were one of the only bands I've ever seen be really open about their story on stage, and sing songs about it. I had songs about it, but I never explained them when I played them ever.
I think I said the same thing to them the first time I interviewed them. I don't want to make this about your heroin addiction. I don't want to, detract from talking about your music. They said, no, we want to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
People need to hear this story. If we can help anyone, that's a win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the best feeling is after some of our shows, I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Pull me aside and be like, "I've had the same issues. I have similar issues. What can I do?" And I just, I encourage them to stop and do something productive to replace it. I think that was the key for me.
Is it that easy, though?
No, it's not that easy. I mean, I did it with methadone. So
Okay.
I needed the medical regimen of...
But that's addictive, too. I mean...
It is. You get addicted to it. But it replaces... It normalizes your activity. Okay. You're no longer going to score street drugs. You're no longer in danger of, just criminal prosecution from going to get what you need. So it's a lot easier on your lifestyle. It allows you to get back into just a normal pattern. And then since it's regulated by doctors and nurses, they can, up your dose,
right,
and then kind of taper you off when you should.
Makes
Because
sense.
you can't really leave addicts to do that on their own. That's where the problem is. You just can't. You have to go through a little bit of the illness in order
Right.
to overcome it.
Was your bottoming out just the medical, the life or death situation, or were you ever arrested? Were you ever...
I was arrested a couple of times.
Jesus.
But not just like overnights from going to score. They pull you in and then they just throw you out. Then those get dismissed. So that really wasn't anything that taught me any lessons, just to not get caught. No, it was more losing the functioning of my arms.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, before I had this brace, I couldn't do anything with this arm. I couldn't draw. I was trying to do everything one-handed. This arm even was completely swollen like this.
Everything from putting on clothes to,
Socks,
things we all take
tying
for granted.
shoes,
Yeah,
everything. Showering,
sure.
trying to hold a shampoo bottle in the shower. Super difficult. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's take that one step further. we've covered the addiction, which sucks. I'm glad you're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
How do you relearn how to play an instrument?
That-
You're here representing James the Boneless, the band.
With support, that's how.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Pat really helped being in my life. We, like he had said earlier, we tried doing a band years before when I was still using and still able to play. So we still had that to like go back to in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this whole cache of songs. I hadn't been able to play in years.
Right.
So we just got back together once I had quit, and I wanted to do this again, and Pat was still into it, luckily, and tried it first. I still, at that point, still couldn't play guitar, so I tried doing like a one-handed keyboard thing. I was trying to develop my own style of like, but I don't play.
That was horrendous.
Oh.
Yeah, it was so bad.
So bad.
I mean, A+ for effort.
Yeah.
We're trying to convert like all the guitar lines into. I mean,
I got an old Juno G who's playing, and it was just it wasn't working out.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like I was coming up with my own chord structures, and I hooked it up through a wah and a distortion pedal. I was trying to guitar the keyboard a little bit.
So you could still strum a guitar,
Oh yeah.
but it's just that moving the hand underneath the neck. And,
Yeah, I can't twist that.
No.
I was trying to write songs just on like open tuned ukuleles.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all I could handle for a little while.
No one wants to hear that.
No,
Right.
right. No one. Yeah, agreed. No one wants to hear that. And then the change came. I think it was 2020, where before I was wrapping my arms in like sports tape and just kind of like any structure, because the bone's still, it's loose there. So moving around, it hurts like every day.
Wow.
So
It's almost okay. This
Yeah.
sounds easy for me to say, but it's almost good that it does hurt every day because it reminds you never to use again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah,
negative
never-
reinforcement
yeah.
every day.
Sure, absolutely.
Sorry, I mean I'm sure it sucks, but I'm just
It doesn't suck as much as you would think. I've grown used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not as much of a big deal, especially with the band.
Mm-hmm.
The band really helped. I mean, that really gave me a purpose and let me be open about this. But to get
So,
back
sorry,
to
so yeah,
learning to play-
2020, yes.
Yeah, 2020. I was going to various doctors after I had quit. I figured someone's got to be able to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Put an implant in, I don't know, put a rod,
right.
Move some tissue somewhere. I was kind of hospital jumping just because everyone was turning me away. They're like, I'd go see a doctor, get charged thousands for being told, we can't do anything for you. Go try another facility. Had people at like Mount Sinai were going to take a bone out of my leg, transplant it to my arm. I'm like, don't I need my bone in my leg too?
Yeah.
The doctor was like, that's not a load-bearing bone. I'm like, it's kind of in my leg. I kind of like how it holds me up. But that doctor that was maybe going to do that left their system within a week, and so no one else would take that on.
Oh my goodness.
So I finally found a doctor at Loyola that also didn't want to do anything. He was like a bone specialist. I don't know the words for bone specialist. Osteo something.
Sure.
But he referred me to a physical therapist
Okay.
that then built me a brace.
Awesome.
So as soon as I got this brace out of like a good material and it wasn't as constricting as like the tape and the gauze I was wrapping around, I was finally able. I went home and I'm like, oh my God, I can just move my arm in the motion up and down the fretboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, slide guys do this easy. The
'cause
blind
you
guy
can't-
in Roadhouse does this.
So you can't make chord shapes, but you can still.
I play an open tuning. So I'm tuned to open E major. So I can bar the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of mimic minor chords by just playing like the low 3 strings.
Got it.
Are you a player?
took guitar lessons for about a year and a half.
Okay.
But I know enough to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, basically, an open-tuned guitar, I can do power chords with the lower strings. And, from that, I've learned more and more. I had to rethink scales rethink everything. I'm still thinking in, regular guitar playing terms, and then just shifting the shapes as I'm playing. Make sense?
It makes sense, and I think this is a really cool story. I think this is triumphing over self-created adversity.
Yeah.
Like finding your way through a bunch of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do something good.
Yeah, it's a golden gimmick now.
Yeah, I mean,
a hard-won golden gimmick, but
man, if there's ever proof that creators need to create, you figuring out how to play guitar,
absolutely,
with these arms and hands the way they are, that's proof right there.
Yeah. So luckily we had songs already, a whole set that we used to play years before. So all I had to do was kind of transition those into the new way. Some didn't work, some worked.
Yeah.
So some we've kept from years past, but most stuff is new material.
Are you the only guitarist in the band?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So does that put added pressure on you, Pat? I've been calling you Patrick. Is that too formal?
Yeah, either way. I don't think it adds pressure. I kind of enjoy it because I can add more complexity to the bass lines, have more fun with the bass instead of just doing the standard
root notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have more fun. I dance around a bit. I'm always all over the fretboard, so it works for me.
And what sets the band apart, besides all the obvious stuff we just talked about, the saxophone. I mean, the sax.
Oh yeah.
Adds a nice dimension to what you're doing.
I've always heard saxophone.
I love saxophones.
Over everything. Mm-hmm. I'm a big 50s R&B fan.
Oh, yeah.
Grew up on Dick Biondi, Magic 104. So that was standard in those days.
You see, kids, Dick Biondi used to work. Dick Biondi used to work on something called the radio. And back in the day, people in their cars would listen to these things that came out over the air. There were shows hosted by disc jockeys. You don't listen anymore, but back in the day, you did.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, avid fan of, the oldies, and then transition from that into Q101, and
I worked
XRT,
there for a minute. Yeah.
And now I kind of only listen to NPR actually.
That does seem to be a common trajectory.
Yeah,
right.
It's now I'm old. Only NPR.
Every time you hear a radio station say we're going to go 40 minutes nonstop or a big long set of music, fuck off. Those days are over.
Yeah,
Sorry. The saxophone, yes.
And, when I played guitar, I would always kind of hear saxophone and try to mimic that when I'd be soloing. I know other guitarists. I know Stevie Ray Vaughan, that's how he thought of his guitar. I read an interview or heard an interview. So kind of going on that premise. Just having that sax kind of cadence. But nothing beats the sax. Nothing is
I love a good sax, I'm telling you.
An accurate reproduction of vocalizing notes other than saxophone,
And that's part of the James the Boneless milieu. You have a string of singles available for streaming to enjoy. Satan's Kitty, the chorus is literally meow, 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 meow over surf guitars.
It is.
Which...
Let me tell you about that song. Okay. I lived out in California, and it's pretty simple. Some of our songs are just matter of fact snippets of our lives. That one is based on I was living out there, had a couple cats, and everywhere, and then we were living in Irvine. There were flyers everywhere that said, "Beware, keep your cats inside. Satanists are in the forest." Especially black cats. The Satanists want to get your black cats.
That's so cool. Were there really Satanists?
Yeah, doubtful. Yeah, satanic panic of the late 90s. So I always got a kick out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But then one of the cats actually disappeared. I don't believe in Satanists in the forest, but figured it was a coyote.
Yeah, sure.
So the song it arose organically from that. Somehow we started jamming on just a riff, and I started meowing over it. And
As you
right?
do.
Yeah.
As you do.
And it was great, and we just went with it. That was one of the old ones we had.
That was,
Well,
yeah.
let's stay satanic for a moment. Let's talk about the demon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just a straight ahead tale of the drug use that we were just describing. So it's just going through the mind of an addict, and the daily activities that go with that. And by the end, it goes into a happy ska part, and the drugs are gone, and you feel redeemed, and you don't want to go back to the drugs. And that is the demon.
So it's been 4 years.
Yes.
Do you have people from your previous life trying to reconnect with you? Or have you been able to
No,
successfully wall them off?
Sadly, most of the people I didn't use with too many people in little group. I mostly kept to myself, but anyone I did is
Because heroin's not a social drug.
It's not a social drug. No.
Unless you're Sid and Nancy.
Right. Yeah, and they didn't do so well. Did
No, that story ended pretty early for both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big part of getting out of it too, is not associating with the people from that past. Yeah.
So I guess the obvious question, this is an obvious transition, but what's next for James the Boneless?
We're just gonna continue on, try to get more shows, keep writing, keep spreading our message of hope, I guess.
And I'm glad you're
I
doing
never
it.
really said that before, but it kind of makes sense with everything. It really does inspire people.
I think about you as a younger person. You mentioned it, all your idols. I mean, I remember you mentioned Q101, being on the radio in the 90s as they all fell, as Kurt Cobain died, as Lane Staley checked out.
I was in Seattle when Lane Staley died, down the street.
In more modern times.
It was kind of devastating to hear he had been just holed up. I knew people. I was using at the time, so I knew people that were dealing with him. And they said the guy had just been in his apartment for X amount of weeks, just doing nothing except that. So it was kind of no surprise to the local community.
What a loss.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I mean, knowing how impressionable you were, having someone like you being able to say, no, don't, I think is really important. I mean, no one wants to be the flag waver for righteousness and setting people down the road of correctness, but I think that's kind of the role you inherited by making it to this side.
Yeah. I mean, I never felt like a role model. I feel like I'm the worst role model. But like I said, we've had kids come up to us after shows and really open up about what they're going through, and they want to know what they can do. And they straight up say those words: "You inspired me to not go back to that." So that's great.
Awesome. We had to get through all that to get to the music part. I needed the backstory. I think people watching or listening needed that backstory.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're with us.
I got some treats for you. It's October.
It is October.
We tried it at most of the holiday shows. Should we go to this?
Yeah. Pat says Rocktober.
I do. Yeah.
Nice. So, when we do shows around holidays, we usually do little treat bags. I know we did one around Easter and Passover. I'm Jewish, so I spin the thing. So I had Passover eggs.
God, I was raised Jewish too. Heroin is not a Jewish thing.
It's not.
It's not. The Jews don't like heroin.
Who does? All right, what do we got for you? So this goes along with one of our songs. We have a song, Little Miss Cocaine in Her Butthole.
Little Miss Cocaine in Her Butthole. It's an adult coloring book.
It's an adult coloring book, and that's how the song got written.
That's amazing.
I knew someone who was putting cocaine in their butthole.
Oh, man.
And I thought, what would be hilarious and informative is if there was, remember the Little Miss books?
Of course.
So I thought, if there was a Little Miss book where the moral tale involved the cocaine and buttholes.
This is pretty dark shit.
You can color sphincters. You can color in
the term lacer. I didn't.
That's the most disturbing page to most people.
Is that podcast friendly, James?
In my almost 9 years of Con Carne, I've never once had the reason until now to say the expression "lacerated asshole." Thank you, James the Boneless.
Poetry.
Wow, but no, this is another cautionary tale in coloring book form. Thank you.
There you go.
I think I have kids at home. They'll
Enjoy
love
the
this.
activities.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is anyone that gets that, their kids are drawn to that.
Of course.
We have a video out with that, and I hear all the time, "Thanks a lot. You're a dick. My kids will not stop singing that song."
Little
I'm
Miss
like,
Cocaine in her butthole.
It's hooky.
If I had a nickel. Yep.
Yeah. All right. What else we got for you? We got. Oh, speaking of Satan's Kitty. Here, wait. Can you get that?
I can.
I'm not good with any things. Pat helps me open bottles.
Oh, look at, this is
This is a Satan's Kitty T-shirt for you.
amazing. Amazing.
I pegged you for a large.
Also amazing. Beautiful. I love the logo.
All right. You get a sticker packet with
Sticker
more.
packet.
There's my
Oh, look.
arm.
Okay. I'm glad you.
yeah.
I'm actually glad you brought a sticker.
Yeah.
I have my case that I carry my hard drive recorder for
Nice.
Con Carne, and I realized I should have been doing this all along. I'm treating it like a travel suitcase, and I'm putting stickers of the people I interview
Oh yeah.
on my little travel suitcase.
There you go.
So we got Satan Kitty right
That's
here.
a glow in the dark one.
Of course it
Bonus.
is.
Yeah, we have like the worst stickers. We're still, we're still streamlining how we do merch.
How does a dude
How
with troubled hands and arms open these stickers up?
Oh, it's awful. When I'm in bathrooms trying to stick them on a urinal, it's the worst.
I'm gonna Scotch tape this to my
Yeah.
my case. All right, I'll work on this later.
Sure.
I gave one to the.
I'll get a knife and
We're friends with the Crombies guys, so
Sure.
Carl, the keyboard player, he took one. And he was trying to do a little honor to me and put it on his keyboard on stage, and he's just fumbling with it. He just gave it.
Yeah.
He's like, here, you do this.
10
You do
minutes
this
later,
now."
yeah.
Wait, and you get a James the Boneless.
Look at
hat.
this.
Just the simple logo.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is awesome. That's a That's a great logo. You've got that figured out. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for my
Skull and
goodies.
Broken Bones.
Thank-
That's our spin on it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That is great. Thank you for my goodies.
You're welcome.
Oh, I love Halloween season.
Happy Halloween.
Right.
I love it. Guys, thank you for doing this. Like I said, nothing bonds people faster than spending an hour walking through a haunted house together. Right?
That's fun.
That was super
That
fun.
was fun.
And I
It's like
realized,
a flashback to my childhood.
as I was driving here, I'm like, I don't know these guys. Hope they're not dicks. Like, we're gonna
Hope
spend
we
a lot of
weren't either. Right?
Yeah, no, like we're gonna spend a lot of time together. Hope we all get along, and we did. I'm really glad
Well,
we
we
did
looked
this.
into you, and everyone said you were the nicest guy ever. So there you
Well,
go.
that's lovely to hear. You did your research.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
I vetted you before we sat in the car with you.
I'm glad I've been
We learned
vetted.
that one.
All right, James, Patrick, Pat. Thank you for doing this. James the Boneless is the
Thank
band. I do want to thank everyone here at the haunted house, the Old Joliet Prison haunted house. Thank you.
This is
Yes?
great. I just wanted to plug shows we're playing.
Well, that's what I was
real
asking
soon.
about. What's next?
Oh, that's what's next. Yeah. We are doing a show up in Madison, Wisconsin.
The
That's our
29th.
first out of state thing.
Awesome.
We're still a fairly new band. We've only been around for a year and a half or so.
That's great.
So up there we're playing at Nottingham Cooperative. It's a total surprise to us. We're playing with a bunch of folk punk bands.
I love it.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
It
yeah.
should be super interesting. We kind of feel we fit with anybody.
Yeah, I agree. It's because of the sax.
Yeah.
Right. The sax hits. And then December 16th, we're playing at this great event. This guy Noah Corona started about a year ago out in Villa Park called Punk Rock Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I have.
They're doing one soon, October 21st.
You just reminded me I need to reach out to that dude.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great guy. We got in early with him. We played the second show, and just sitting down with the guy.
Yeah, we played a couple shows there.
Yeah, we've done 3 of them so far. This is December 16th will be our 4th.
Love it.
He lets in new bands. He gets nationally touring, amazing bands come through.
Yeah, he's got a good scene there. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
always a good time there.
it's great. It's kind of throwback to the YMCA, VFW.
I was going to say,
shows.
this reminds me of the Fireside.
Yeah.
Yeah, or exactly, Fireside. And it's even surrealer where you're in a Mexican restaurant. There's no separation. You're not going to another room.
That's
There
something else, yeah.
There isn't a divider.
Who
There's
doesn't
a
like
lot-
tacos? Every punk band
Yeah.
likes tacos.
Right.
But what's funny is there's still a fully functioning restaurant at
Love
the
it.
same time.
As the bands are playing, yeah.
I love it.
Families sitting down for Friday night dinner. So it's this great mix, and it's always been just a warm, welcoming crowd.
I
There's
love it.
never out of hand fights, violence, nothing. Everyone's supportive, just enjoying music, having a great time.
I love it.
Good food. It's at this place, Semitas Poblanas in Villa Park.
Love
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
All right,
You got to come out to one of them.
December 16th. That sounds great.
They're great. Yeah, I think we're playing with Lollygagger. I know. I watched the interview with those guys because I saw
Love
them play at the
Lollygagger.
Forge here in Joliet, and
Love
they were
Lollygagger.
amazing.
That
Amazing.
album of theirs that they just put out is
Yeah.
awesome.
I've gone through a few of the tracks. Haven't
So
gone
good.
through the whole thing, but
Oh, that's a great bill.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Them and wait, who else? The Larvettes, I believe, were playing.
Don't know them.
Yeah, I just
So I
looked
should
them
come
up
out and see.
recently.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the rest of the bill is set yet, but I'm pretty sure those
Solid
two
start.
and us are locked in.
Solid start.
But yeah, and it will be a Christmas show, but
Well,
Jewish.
Hanukkah for
I'm
you,
gonna
James.
do some Hanukkah
Yeah.
stuff. You know, I might throw some dreidels at the audience.
Bust out the dreidels.
Start a whole dreidel spinning pit.
Yes.
You know, maybe we do a punk rock dreidel. All
Oh.
things to look forward to holiday
Yeah.
season.
Talking Gimmel with James the Boneless.
There you go, Gimel. You get all.
Thank you, Old Joliet Haunted Prison, for the hospitality. That was super fun. Thank you, James the Boneless.
Thank you.
And thank
Yeah,
you
thank you.
for watching and or listening to Con Carne.